dress and a dream.
I really want some miso soup. Oh my god, miso soup!
It's a musical. Les Mis. Do you hear the people sing? Les Miserables. It's Les Mis. I'm trying not to be too much of a musical theater nerd. Yeah, by the end of this night, we'll all just be screaming One Day More. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Hi, Internet. You are a camera propped up on my desk, in my home office. This is definitely just the most flattering light and angle that I will ever, use to capture my visage on the Internet. So I feel great about that. It is 5 p.m. on, Monday the 24th, and I had told myself that if I made it through this day, then I might let myself get tempted into some spontaneous last-minute productivity energy, emotional energy, whatever, and try to get started on my Taylor Swift reaction here this evening. But the allergies have really caught up with me. I had thought that I was over the worst of it since getting back from my flight. Anybody else out there who struggles with allergies, particularly seasonal allergies, when it's just like your whole environment that's around you? Can you relate to how it'll be like, you know, there's the sinus cavity that's right here behind your eyes and like in the upper part of your nose, and that chamber sometimes feels so itchy. It's so stuffy and itchy right here behind my eyeballs. And the fun thing is, I can't get there. I can't scratch that itch. I sure do try. So, all that to say, I am going to save my Taylor Swift adventure for tomorrow. I happen to have the day off for getting a couple of the things done that I needed to get done. And I'm just going to spend the rest of this evening taking probably a long hot bath with a bunch of steam to try to clear all this out, take some extra Benadryl, go to bed early, wake up tomorrow bright and early, ready to cry. I truly cannot wait. That is an ideal agenda for me. I'm super duper thrilled. So, see you tomorrow.
Welcome to another day in the life of
weeks later. It is now November 5th, Saturday. I've been continuing to really enjoy reading The Night Circus. I may not entirely finish it again all the way through this time, to be honest. I read it several years ago and remembered a lot of the main plot points. The real reason that I picked it up again now is because I have a fun little book club developing with some of my coworkers. But it's a nice low stakes environment, you know, where you don't have to feel pressure to not show up if you haven't read the entire book or done a certain amount of fucking homework or something. It's just a nice chill place to 50% an excuse to all hang out and have a beer together, and 50% occasional opportunity for actual book discussion, but also just a nice opportunity to hang out. So it's low stakes. And so I knew that I might not finish the entire book before the date of the book club meeting, just because I've been running around so much. But I remembered from the last time that I read the whole thing that it would be good to pick up again right now. It's just such a perfect autumn vibes book. It's really lovely. The imagery that is so enveloping that really makes you feel like you're out with, crisp autumn air and smelling apple cider, and it's just a real air of mystery, and it feels vaguely spooky. I know how it ends. I may not read the whole thing again, but part of the reason that I knew it would be fun to pick up again would be just the vibes, and to get another look at, the first time I read it, I got such the impression that it is primarily vibes, and it's kind of hard to track the plot. It's kind of hard to keep track of the actual characters. At first, when I remembered that being my experience of having read it the first time, I had some real self-deprecating thoughts of, am I just stupid? Am I just too small-brained for this? And it was very validating to look up a few booktube. I've only been really starting to watch booktuber type content and people who do online videos about books for the last year and a half or so. And so I wasn't familiar with that community and that source of opinions and discussion topics and reviews the first time that I read this book. Now that I was thinking to myself again, am I the only one who feels this way? That it's beautiful vibes, beautiful imagery, but what the fuck happens, and why is the plot written in such a kind of convoluted way that makes it difficult to track the characters and what's going on? I now, with that point of view in mind, I took it upon myself to look at some online reviews and felt very validated. I'll share a few of them below if you might be at all interested. There's one that I found to be particularly helpful that does involve spoilers, but it's just a literally 5-minute summary of all the major plot points of the book, which I do find to be really helpful, especially if you're jumping into a reread and just want to kind of refamiliarize yourself with the overall bullet points before you jump in. It's kind of helpful to, the first time you see the name of the character, it's a little easier to kind of pin it in your brain of oh, okay, I'm going to remember who that is and what their arc is as I read through the convoluted journey, and to have an idea of where the overall plot is going and start to recognize some of the hints of what is to come as you're going through it. So that's helpful, but I'll note that below, and that it does involve spoilers. And then the other couple ones that I'll leave below are just there's an older review and a Jack Edwards summary of some other popular reads that includes Night Circus that had similar things to say, just in terms of the plot is a little difficult to follow, but if you're there for just the vibes more than necessarily the plot, then you'll have a great time with it. So that made me feel a lot less small-brained and kind of validated. But overall, what a wonderful time. The last thing that I think I might talk about here is some YouTube thoughts, and I know that sometimes people are not interested in listening to what can feel like,
woe is you, what a difficult life you lead trying to have your silly little YouTube hobby, smallest violin in the world.
So just in case, I want to offer you the full permission to dip out here once I start talking about that stuff. I think that the one last thing that I'll say about the Night Circus that kind of leads me into the thoughts that I have about YouTube stuff is the one aspect of the Night Circus that has to do with, in my opinion, fandom, basically. One of the main things that stuck out to me years ago after my first reading was the clockmaker who sort of ends up becoming the president of the fan club of people who attend the Night Circus and are particularly in love with the experience and follow it from place to place and try to share spoilers with each other of oh, the circus is going to be outside of Dresden on Saturday. Everybody show up, tell your friends. They start to develop this secret language for identifying each other as fans in the crowd, that, you dress primarily in black and white, but with one splash of red, a red flower or a red scarf, and that's how you can recognize your fellow fans, your fellow stans in the crowd. And I just remember the first time that I read it years ago feeling like,
Oh my god, it's so inspirational that there's always been fandom in different ways, and fandom brings us all together in so many amazing ways.
and of course now we have this beautiful experience, this beautiful opportunity to like share in community together via online methods primarily. But you know, I was raised by a Trekkie father. I was raised by a household that was very into like, you know, following different movie things and Star Wars and you know, following like award season stuff and the community and discussion that can go around that in terms of like film and TV and movies discussion. And you know, my parents are very like dad rock aficionados. The number of times that I got taken to like Rush concerts as a kid and like Elvis Costello concerts as a kid, the aspects of even in the pre-internet era, right? Like, you know, the people like my dad who were growing up being obsessed with Star Trek, and like, you know, it used to just be fan magazines. It used to just be like all writing into a fan club together, physical letters. It used to be like going to conventions, not only being like a fun thing to do like it is now and like very marketable, very commercial, but going to conventions decades ago used to be more specifically about it being like sometimes the only opportunity you have to like meet IRL other people who are excited about this thing that you both share a passion for. So this aspect of the book that was specifically about this like early iteration of fandom was just so inspiring to me and made me really, really happy the first time that I read it. And when I got to that part in this reread where they started to talk about that sort of like conception of the fan club element of it, it just brought me to tears. And I had a lot of fun reading one particular passage about that with my book club the other night. And so maybe I'll be too self-conscious to share this in when I edit this video and put it online. But a lot of what I have been thinking about lately with my YouTube channel is tied into the thoughts that this passage remind me of. This passage sort of like entered my brain at just the right time during this kind of stressful time with my channel that sort of centered me and reminded me like why I'm actually doing the things that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to read it. So we're at the point where the fans are starting to be able to like easily identify each other and like have some community outside of the circus. They find each other, they identify each other, and they spend time together, right? They seek each other out, these people of such specific like mind. They tell of how they found the circus, how those first few steps were like magic, like stepping into a fairy tale under a curtain of stars. They pontificate upon the fluffiness of the popcorn, the sweetness of the chocolate. They spend hours discussing the quality of the light, the heat of the bonfire. They sit over their drinks, smiling like children, and they relish being surrounded by kindred spirits, if only for an evening. When they depart, they shake hands and embrace like old friends, even if they have only just met. And as they go their separate ways, they feel less alone than they had before. I find that to be really inspiring just because that's a lot of what I've always gotten out of different aspects of fandom and people communing over a shared passion for a specific type of art, type of experience, show, band, movie, whatever it is. And I had a bit of a rough patch with my channel this last week and a half or so, and reflecting on that passage just has helped recenter me and calm me down and help me feel like I have a bit of a North Star heading forward, a bit of a compass to point me back in the right direction when I felt kind of discouraged earlier this week. This is a part of the video where for the next few moments I'm going to be primarily just talking about like some of the inside workings of what's been going on with like my channel and some of the videos that I've been trying to upload recently and like what I'm trying to like do with my little YouTube hobby right now. So if that's of no interest to you, or if you decide to dip out now, then no hard feelings and thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. The silly thing that I had come up with my channel here recently, as I've been mentioning a little bit earlier in this video, have been excited about the release of the new Taylor Swift album. I wouldn't consider myself to be a Swiftie, but there are aspects of Taylor Swift's music, and I just find fandom to be a very interesting experience. I love to hear people who are passionate about a specific artist or topic or piece of work talk about what their passion is. I love to learn more. I love to hang out on Tumblr and, you know, what see what other people's, like, you know, what are the memes, what are the inside jokes, what's the lore, what's the history, what are the big, like, timestamps in the history of the fandom of this piece of work or this artist or whatever. I find that kind of thing to be so fascinating. Taylor Swift's music, and particularly in this last year or so since the release of her version of Red, the Taylor's version of that album. Just everything that she's been talking about doing with, like, you know, trying to get the rights to her music back and starting that conversation on a more big public stage so more people can learn about it. And just the fact that all the music is so good. And all the reaction videos, man. I'm such a sucker for, you know, such a big part of what I'm trying to do with my channel these days is to make the kind of content that I like to watch. And watching other people's reaction videos is like pure serotonin for me. It is very much just something that, like, will turn me around when I'm having a bad day. There are artists that I have only ever gotten into because I was having a bad day and I did a quick Google search or a quick YouTube search for, like, you know, best moments of, or, like, you know, moments to give you joy from, like, this particular artist that, like, I thought that I might be interested in, but, like, let me watch some of, like, other people enjoying their work to sort of, like, let me get into it and just have, like, the highlights before I jump in. There are artists that I've only gone down the rabbit hole with since because of first discovering them through, like, people's reaction videos and, like, their passion of it in that way. What is it, about a week and a half ago, I recorded my reaction to listening to the Taylor Swift new Midnight's album. And not only did I have such a great time with my just experience of, like, documenting the first listen of the album in that way, I had a wonderful day filming it and, like, hanging out in this chair, talking to this camera, sharing that experience. That was really gratifying. But also, like, the editing of it, I'm so proud of this video. It is, like, I consider it to be very much like the magnum opus of, like, what my current skill level in terms of, like, learning what my style is, what my humor is with how I like to edit videos, including silly little memes and silly little captions and, you know, Ken Burnsing it to death. I love how the video turned out. I was really proud of it. I knew that it might not be able to get uploaded at all, depending on how the YouTube, like, you know, system identified it in terms of copyright. And I was prepared for that. When I hit the upload button to put it on the channel, I was fully prepared that I might have just gotten just the learning experience and the fun of the playing around with the recording and the editing of it, and I might not ever actually get to share it on YouTube if there were a copyright issue. I was fully prepared for that. And then I was very thrilled when I was able to upload it. It allowed me to upload it. I included some text in my description box about how it is fair use because it's a reaction video. I'm not trying to monetize it. I'm not trying to claim that it's my copyright. I'm trying to just do a reaction. Lots of other people are able to put reaction videos on the internet.com. But I was expecting that if it was going to get flagged for copyright concerns, it would be when I tried to hit the upload button. When that didn't happen, I figured that I had cleared that first hurdle, right? Then in the couple days after I uploaded it, I had the unexpected kind of blow to my ego that was the video not doing well. I think it got something like 50 views in the first couple days that it was up, and like a few likes, a few comments, and some people were even unsubscribing. I lost like 6 subscribers in that immediate aftermath of uploading that video. In the time that I've had this channel up, I don't think I've ever had anyone unsubscribe because I've had so little attention on this channel, of course, and so few people have subscribed. If they bothered to subscribe in the first place, it was because they were here to like support a tiny channel, and you know, they may not even necessarily be watching the videos. They're just here to be along for the ride, to help a little baby YouTuber get their numbers up. Nobody was bothering to unsubscribe in the whole history of my channel. And now all of a sudden I upload this video on a topic that I understand now is rather polarizing. People have strong opinions on the Taylor Swift shit. So I already was like, oh, well, I'm losing a few subscribers. That's a little bit of a blow to my ego. And the fact that I wasn't performing well, I'm starting only now to realize that in this aftermath of having had one video so far on my channel kind of blow up, the Try Guys compilation video that I did. I was so surprised when it did as well as it did, not only because I'm such a small channel, but just because that video is so full of little moments of my own very silly humor. It's, you know, got those few moments in there of just using like the silly Star Wars text graphic that scrolls up the screen that I think is very funny, but that I assume other people think are nerdy. It's got like, you know, silly little clips that I figured nobody else was gonna laugh at that I just find to be my favorite clips. The fact that it did so well made me not only feel like, oh, it is possible to find like, you know, one's audience, to find the people with whom your work is going to resonate and to bond over like a shared fandom experience. But it also, I can see now, went to my head a little bit in terms of just like thinking that, oh, well, if there are people that I found through this video who seem to like my humor and the way that I edit things and whatever, I'll be able to recreate that success easily again by just continuing to make the kind of things that I want to make. Surely that will only continue to lead to more success, is what I was thinking. And what I didn't anticipate was that then when the new video, the Taylor Swift video, wasn't doing well, it felt a little personal at first. It made me feel like a little blow to my own personal self-esteem. It's feeling more and more like I'm investing in these videos my own personality and my own style, my own sense of humor, the things that are important to me. Before the Try Guys video blew up the way that it did, I'd never had many eyeballs on this channel. I never anticipated that I would have any sort of like, you know, semi-viral blow-up moment that would put lots of eyeballs on this channel. I figured that this little corner of the internet would always just be my place to experiment with the kind of creativity that I want to experiment with for my own validation here on this channel, and that nobody else would ever really see it. Or that if I were ever going to kind of grow or like, you know, find an audience of people to hang out with me here on this channel, that it would be a slow and steady over time. I never anticipated that I would have a video blow up. And I'm realizing now in the aftermath of that video, like I've uploaded one or two other things since then, and they have also not done well. I fully expected that, like, you know, the main reason, of course, that I'm sure it did well was because it's association with a much bigger channel and a much bigger fandom. And, you know, I'm going to keep on doing other little Try Guys edits. The next video after this one that you're watching actually next week is going to be another Try Guys compilation thing. I think I'm gonna do like Bestie Vibes with Becky and Eugene compilation. But I think I'm realizing that because I never expected to have any one of my videos have that kind of success, I wasn't prepared for how it was going to start to trick the programming in my brain. Even if I say verbally and I tell myself as much as I'm able that I fully expect that it's just a one-off thing, or if not a one-off thing, then certainly something that will only ever be associated with like that fandom, that name of that, like, you know, much more popular channel than mine. I think that I had just started to let myself hope. Part of why that video had been successful was because I was jumping on a kind of a trendy moment of, you know, everybody talking a lot obviously right now about the Try Guys and that fandom being in sort of a period of transition. And I think that I had hoped in a small way that I wasn't really admitting to myself that if I did a Taylor Swift video, it would also be sort of something that I was organically interested in, for sure. Like, I'm not trying to jump on trends just for the sake of being trendy, but sometimes you do have that moment, right, where organically there's the Venn diagram crossover of something that you are genuinely interested in wanting to do, and that does intersect with a moment of possible internet virality. So in the aftermath of immediately uploading my Taylor Swift video, I was already sort of like massaging my wounded ego a little bit in terms of, oh, well, I made this thing that I really love and that I'm super proud of, and I'm glad that I did that, and that was a good learning experience, and it's entertaining for me to watch. I still like that video, but it's not doing very well organically. I'm losing a few subscribers. Okay, so maybe this is my way of learning that the future of this channel may not involve a lot more Taylor Swift, because I don't want to lose subscribers. Also, if there are going to be more views on this video, then it's going to be because I put in the effort of like going and, you know, trying to get it in front of the right eyeballs. And that's easy work for me to do, because a lot of how I've been organically growing my channel before the Try Guys video blew up was I like to watch the other videos that I just organically like to watch, and you hang out in those comment sections. You leave comments and, you know, mention that you have a similar video on your channel, and then you end up with comments on your video, your channel, that say like, hey, I found you in this person's comment section, so glad I followed you over here. Like, that's not work for me. That's just community building. That's shit that I enjoy doing. So I've been having a good time doing that. I was starting to like pick up my my, low self-esteem after the Taylor Swift video not doing initially well. And then earlier this week, it was 2 days after I had uploaded the Taylor Swift video. It had been up for 2 days, and then YouTube took it down for copyright. I didn't know that that could be done. I didn't know that you could have it up for a while and only then have it taken down. And, I had been prepared for the likely, I thought, possibility that when I uploaded it, you upload it, you process it, and there's supposed to be a checks process in that initial moment of getting it uploaded, which is where it'll get flagged if it's going to get flagged. And I had been prepared for it at that time. And just the fact that it hit 2 days later instead, when I thought I'd passed that obstacle, it really caught me by surprise. It really put me in a shitty negative headspace. I've filed an appeal, and there's a few days left, I think, for them to respond. If they don't respond, then maybe it'll get put back up on the channel. If the worst thing that comes of all this is just that I made something that I'm really proud of, and I don't get to share it in this particular way, in terms of it having been taken down, and I may not get to put it back up. It'll still be a valuable learning experience. Maybe the end result of all this will be that I get to say to myself, oh, I'm just done trying to fuck around with having any kind of copyrighted content in any of my videos. It's not worth it. But just overall, it was a discouraging week. It was a week of kind of ups and downs of thinking about what I'm trying to do with the time that I spend investing in this channel, and how I want to be prepared to bounce back when things don't go well. September was the beginning of me setting the goal for myself that this is the year that I am spending doing weekly uploads on this channel. That's for the purpose of seeing whether I'm able to keep up consistency like that. It's for the purpose of seeing whether I enjoy having that sort of rigorous, regularly expected creation and output, whether that feels fun and organic and challenging for me creatively. And it is a little bit for the purpose of seeing whether it makes a difference in terms of, finding my fellow like-minded nerds here on this platform, and growing my channel and having a little community. If at the end of the year I see that, spending time doing weekly uploads hasn't really been enjoyable, or has been too stressful, or hasn't really gotten me the kind of traction in terms of an audience that would make me feel like it's worthwhile to continue to invest that rigorously and that often, then I can reassess, at the end of the year. But for right now, this is a good period of time for me to be trying this. I have a pretty good, stable next 12 months in front of me in terms of what my home and my income and my routine looks like. So this is the good time to try. And this past week was the first time that it felt like, oh, it's a good thing that I already put the goal in place, because if I didn't have the specific goal in place of, part of why you set the goal is just to keep yourself going, to keep yourself picking back up and trying. And I've heard other creators that I like who talk about their YouTube journey, their YouTube creativity. I've heard other people talk about how one of the things that's nice about a place of creativity such as this is that you have to just keep on going, is that even when you have a video that doesn't do well, or that isn't received well, or whatever, you feel like it doesn't live up to whatever expectations you had, you are forced to simply learn from it and then put it down and move on to the next thing. I can be a rather maudlin person. I have a lot of emotional highs and lows. I'm a very emotional person. And so for me, I feel like when I had heard other creators that I like talk about that aspect of it, that it's helpful to have just the consistent need to keep going and learn from the last mistake and put out another one. I thought that sounded like something that could be good for my mental health and good for my consistency, to have a fire lit under my ass, that if something doesn't go well, I don't have the option to just sit and bemoan a failure. You have to just keep going. This was the first week with this sort of roller coaster of the Taylor Swift video that I was able to see that is going to be really helpful for me, because I think that I might have just thrown in the towel if I didn't have the goal that I had already set for myself, and the expectation that come September 2023, I want to be able to look back and have the decision that I make about whether I want to keep doing this or how I might want to keep doing it differently or whatever. I want that decision to be based on having tried consistently for the whole year and really be able to make a decision without any sense of wondering what might have been if I had done things differently. I want to try this one goal and let that be the metric that I look back on at the end of a completed year of weekly uploads. So all that just to say, I'm excited to keep just trying to move forward. I have definitely been spooked out of trying to include copyrighted materials in my videos. And you know, it was a bummer, the other just negative feelings that the experience brought out in me in a very like just temper tantrum, immature, life is unfair, nobody understands me kind of way. That like, you know, I'm already very tired from it having been like, you know, crazy period of travel, and, you know, my body has been in a lot of pain and like menstruating, and I've been very tired and just cranky and run down from trying to keep up with my day job on top of all this other shit, that it was really easy in the low moments of being really disappointed about this Taylor Swift video experience. It was really easy for me to just fall into a default place of like bitterness and mean comparison, that like, well, look at all those other creators who get to make amazing reaction videos. Why are they able to? And why is it so difficult to learn how to do this? I want there to be clear instructions that make it a little bit easier to navigate this shit. But of course, that's a big part of what is so treacherous about being passionate about trying to be a YouTube creator, is everybody talks all the time about the fact that this is a pretty nebulous place to try to be creative and to try to hang your hat on, you know, having a consistent dedication of your time. The algorithm is very mysterious. Nobody really understands how to succeed in the algorithm. The algorithm can be a very fickle friend to try to cater to. And copyrighted shit can be very, you know, there are guidelines. There are things that you can claim fall under fair use and protect you if you're using copyrighted materials in your video. But it all comes down to, you know, just what the robots are going to claim and what they're not going to claim, and what decisions the organization is going to make about like any appeals or, you know, disputes that you file about claims that get made on your shit. The fact that things are so nebulous, of course, are to the advantage of the overall organization of YouTube, because they can just keep doing things the way that works best for them. So I'm not surprised that when I try to search for videos about like, you know, how to upload videos that include copyrighted content without getting them blocked, it's very difficult to find any content that is about actual instruction and actual like reliable, dependable information or how-tos. It's all very self-promotional, social marketing kind of advice, all the kind of like,
Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for tuning back into my channel. Here we are to smash that subscribe button and like and hit the notification bell. Now, you want to start a reaction channel that's going to make you $1 trillion in the first week and make sure that you're a viral badass superstar? Well, here's how.
That's not what you want to know. What you want to know is, are there hard and fast, dependable black and white rules to understand in terms of, if I'm making this kind of video and it is clearly for the purposes of commentary, entertainment, reaction, education, discussion, can I know before I bother investing all the time and effort in editing and uploading something first that it will definitely be protected under fair use? Can I definitely move forward with it, or is there the possibility that the effort will be completely lost because YouTube can still block whatever the fuck they want to block anyway? It seems like it's more like the latter. You know, there's no clear answers, and it behooves YouTube to make sure that there are no clear answers. So I am glad to be moving out of this headspace here in my day-to-day in terms of like I'm moving on to the next video now. You know, we're going to finish this video and edit this and upload it, and then we're going to do a Try Guys video, and then we've got other stuff coming up for November and the holiday season. Like that's part of what I like about the expectation of weekly output, right? Is like, it's just move on and go on to the next thing. I appreciate that. And reflecting on that passage in the Night Circus about fandom and about people being able to come together over a shared passion for a piece of work, an experience, a vibe, a connection, and that then even when they leave that place of fellowship together, they feel less alone. That really speaks to what I'm actually trying to do here with my channel. When me, Chloe, individual audience member, consumer, listener, viewer, when I go to certain channels, watch certain videos, listen to certain music, sit in movie theaters, sit in theaters. A big part of why I'm doing those things and why I'm hanging out in comment sections and why I like to go to theaters by myself and then like become sort of like, you know, temporary friends with everybody that were sitting there in the theater together, and you have conversations about it in the line getting popcorn. And I have always just found this type of like, you know, bonding over a shared experience of art, entertainment, viewership to be about closeness and about connection. And I appreciate this week having been sort of a humbling experience, but ultimately bringing me back to the reminder, the sort of North Star. The real reason that I'm doing this is not to try to like get eyeballs on something that I make just because I'm proud of it and I want like vanity points, pats on the back for my ego, pats on the head, good job, Chloe, you made a thing that we all like and you're so great and creative. That's not the point. The point is make something that maybe means something to other people, can be a little source of connection over something that we all share a feeling of mutual understanding over. When I come to places here on the internet or in real life seeking that out, it means a lot to me to find it. I appreciate this having been a good learning experience. Maybe the Taylor Swift video will end up being put back on the channel once the appeal is complete. And it's good to be reminded of like what the things are that I'm doing on this channel that are working and that are sort of getting me closer to that feeling that I want to continue to serve of connection and fellowship and, you know, kind of just fandom, like that passage in the Night Circus. And in this same week, this same period of time where I've been sort of struggling with the experience of the Taylor Swift video, the Try Guys video only continues to be doing better and better. I actually just recently did my first ever community post talking about how that video hit 200K views. And people are still watching it. I think that now in the last couple days, it's up to 205,000 views or something like that. And people are still commenting on it. Like that is a living, breathing, continuing to develop and have more of a community around it piece of work all the time. And that video was uploaded like a month ago. So this experience of having had one video blow up and what it is doing to my channel and to the synapses in my own brain in terms of the expectations that I have for my work now is unexpected. And I really appreciate the opportunity to sit here in this chair and pontificate on all of that. Thank you for joining me for that sort of philosophizing if you've stuck around this long. So yeah, if you're still here with me through this rambling that has been, then thank you. And if you have enjoyed the Halloween-y aspects of this vlog, then just thank you so much for sharing in the spooky joy with me. Leave me some comments below. How was your Halloween season? How are you coping? If, like me, Halloween is your very, very favorite time of year, how are you doing now with the fact that October is like officially over and we're into this next period of the year? Is there anything that I could be making for you here on this channel that will help you with your brain, mental health, entertainment if the holidays are difficult for you? I typically am in a habit of always uploading some sort of piece of music that is a little bit more like somber, like bittersweet, slightly sad Christmas is always definitely my sort of holiday vibe. And hey, have you been listening to the Taylor Swift album? What's your favorite tracks off of Midnights? Are you terribly anti-Swiftie? Are you not at all surprised to hear that I lost some subscribers when I tried to upload that video? Will you also be unsubscribing if I do more Taylor Swift content in the future? If you enjoy mediocre pictures on Instagram or the cool misadventures of a cool 36-year-old cool kid on TikTok or gay memes and rambles on Tumblr, then I hope that you will consider joining me at your social media location of choice. I am at ChloeThePayne on all the things. You can also check out the description box below for other information about the things that I do, my website, hiring me to do commission songwriting stuff. That's going to be it for me for today. I really appreciate you tuning in. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And here's where we'll put something resembling an end card. Look at all the links. Wow, there's a link there. Wow, there's a link there. Have you been able to hear the next door neighbors, little terriers? They have a lot to say and they are adorable and I wish that I could pick them up and adopt them and love them and hug them and squeeze them. But also I'm allergic. I just want to have all the animals.